Good morning, everyone. My name is Anna. I'm a wife of an addict in recovery, and I'm also recovering myself from codependency.
Good morning, guys. I am Mitchell. I am a gratefully recovering addict and alcoholic, and I'm grateful to be here.
Maria Reese, you want to come say hi real quick?
No.
No? Okay.
Here, say hi.
She doesn't want to. We're talking about controlling, and she wants to just not do it.
I want you to drag this to the water, baby girl.
Yeah. Hi, guys. So I started going through the list of topics that people wanted me to discuss or us to discuss. I have a whole notepad full of them, of ideas that you expressed either in lives, messaged me, or on that one post that we had. And this was one of them. One of them was, how do we support our loved one in a healthy way, but not be controlling or enable them? And so, seeing Mitchell is here this morning, I thought it was a really good idea to talk about this topic. Good morning, Karen. So first off, let's just talk about, we've already talked about the videos that were about holding boundaries. That's something to go back and definitely listen to. And we've also talked about focusing on what's inside of our control and what's outside of our control. That'll have to do with today as well, okay? Good morning, Michelle. So let's start, guys, with what healthy support even looks like at first. And then we'll go into what enabling looks like and what controlling looks like. So healthy support is making sure that you are holding boundaries, for sure. And I know some people are saying, but yeah, that doesn't sound like communication, because when we think of communication, we really think about speech. When we are loving someone in addiction, healthy communication has a lot to do with our actions as well. Actions are also responses. And so healthy communication and healthy support has a lot to do with boundaries, okay? Mitchell, I want you to express a little bit. When you were in active addiction, did words ever seem to do anything to you? Like when I expressed anything of how much it hurt or what I needed, if I just spoke those words, did they ever have really an impact on you?
No, because I always say that no matter how much of my life I was destroying, I'd always turn around and like my loved ones were still there. You know what I mean? No matter the fights we got into, the boundaries that were spoken but not held, the threats, ultimatums before we know what boundaries are, and I always look around and my family was still there, Anna was still there, my friends were still there, so it didn't compute to the addict. You know what I mean? The addict was like, everybody's still here. Momentarily someone's mad at me, momentarily someone's disappointed in me, but they're still here. So like in my 15-second brain, in the addict's 15-second brain, it didn't compute, because longer than 15 seconds you were still there, and I didn't think about the anger or frustration.
Yeah. Okay. So right there, guys, Mitchell's expressing that when he was in addiction, no matter what I expressed, whether positive, negative, whatever we want to call those, how it hurt, why it hurt, if they were just words, it never had impact. Hence why we've talked about this on here before, but a lot of you know that before I chose to leave the house that we own together and move states away to Massachusetts, I did write 2 letters. I wrote 1 letter to Mitchell and 1 letter to the addict. And if anyone heard any of those, I definitely put in my raw emotions and feelings and what the addiction I felt caused in my life, or how the addiction I felt hurt Mitchell and what I felt the addict was like. And if you heard those emotions, I have a lot of people saying that they can relate to them, feel in them. Well, when I read that letter to Mitchell when he was in active addiction, I remember that look he gave back to me, almost confused and like, what are you doing? Like, why are you reading me this? Like, there's no point. And he just expressed, you really didn't separate the two enough. So even pouring out everything I felt before I left a relationship, it had no impact on the addiction.
And I think I just kind of thought of something like, I remember in the addiction, like every time that Anna or my family or someone was mad or angry or like said how they felt, I just thought they were complaining or, that it was their problem. Like, you know what I mean? Because obviously if you don't leave or do something, it's not as bad as you're making it out to be. So I was always like, oh wow, you're just complaining again. There you are. You're always doing this. You're always doing this. Because obviously you are always complaining and you're never leaving. So it's like the addict's saying, why are you complaining? Because you never leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess just accept my behavior. It's pretty much like just accept my behaviors because you're not leaving. So quit complaining about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's what the brain of the addict thinks. It's like, and that's why I think we get so nasty towards you guys in addiction because we don't understand that.
Yeah.
You know, we're like, we say you're a bitch or like, all, you know what I mean? Because it's like, why are you complaining? Like, this is me. You don't leave.
Yeah.
So, like, kind of deal with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's, I think, what goes through our heads in addiction.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so it's so also Mitchell's expressing right here, right now, that when you have someone in active addiction, that's not a healthy brain. That's a very unhealthy brain, very sick brain, very sick responses. And so right then and there, guys, is when we are just speaking what's hurting us, truth be told, I feel it's enabling behaviors. And the reason why is if we, and I want to just clarify this because I don't want any assumptions happening. I am not saying don't express how you feel. I absolutely want you to express how you feel. What I want is I want change with it. I want you to express how you feel, but also put an action with the feeling, okay? That's what I really want. That's a boundary. Remember, a boundary is our choice, our action to their choice, okay? So I just, that's what I'm trying to express, is because I don't know if anyone can relate to this on here, but the addict would always make all these extravagant promises, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this time will be different, all this. And then what I started calling them was empty promises. Yep. That's what I started expressing. This is all empty promises. Well, what I didn't recognize is for so long, I was expressing so many empty promises. If you keep doing this, I'm going to leave. You're really upsetting me to the point that I want to detach from you. I don't know if I want to. Yeah, this is the last time. I don't want to do this. And so what happened is like Mitchell's expressing, over 9 years, it was this continued, like, I don't know how much more longer I can take of this. And that is the truth. I didn't know how much longer I could take of it. However, it was always still, a lot of the times until towards the end, still words from me and the feelings of what was happening, but no actions from me. So that's what I consider enabling, is that if we keep saying the same thing over and over, but we have no action with our words, there's really no consequence. So we can tell someone, you hurt us, you hurt us, you hurt us, I'm breaking, this is upsetting me. But yet the next day, we're right back there in the what we consider normal of it. What's changed? Nothing, especially if it's that, if you're with me, like, it was years of that. So for me, it was always enabling because there is no natural consequences in there. And truth be told, I feel, I'll speak for myself as family, one of my biggest character flaws that I had to work on, that I did not realize this was a character flaw of me, was positivity, but positivity to actually a very unhealthy way. I just always thought, like, you just got to push on till tomorrow. You just got to push on till tomorrow. Like, I can't stay mad. I can't stay this way. This isn't how you want to live life. And you're right, you don't want to live life that way. But however, I was never dealing or learning how to work through it. I was just putting on a mask and going, next day. What I needed to learn is to hold healthy boundaries for myself, to work through these things rather than just always constant words.
Yeah, and I think, you need to stay mad at the appropriate people. The appropriate people.
Hi, Mommy.
Hi, baby.
Hello, Mommy.
Say hello, everybody.
Say hello.
Wet.
You are wet. Say hello, everybody.
Say hello.
Hello, Mommy.
She's looking for her face to change.
I
But
know.
that happened.
Yeah.
You know, and Anna said, like, you know, for 9 years we're doing these things and empty promises on both sides. Well, just think about that. We're training each other to be unhealthy because Anna was doing unhealthy promises and still staying in there. I was doing unhealthy promises. I mean, what'd you say?
Empty promise.
Empty promises. So, and we both were there, so we trained each other. And that's how we communicate. That's how we stuck in there.
Yep.
By just not having any integrity with our word. Not, you know what I mean? Neither of us were impeccable with our word because for 9 years we just did nothing about our feelings. So we both had a hand in training ourselves into the relationship we got into.
Yeah.
Which stinks to say, but like we both did. Two unhealthy people not communicating well is going to make an unhealty learned behavior, which is going to be the go-to of both of us, which makes it extra hard to get out of that.
Yep. And that's why, guys, I consider it enabling and not healthy support. But, no, you can't hold it, baby. You can look into it and say, hi, everybody. There you go. The reason why, for me, again, guys, this is just my belief system and what worked for me, but the reason why I recognize now the power of hindsight, why it was enabling, is because there was never any action from me. It was really always just words. And like I said, I'm not saying stop expressing yourself. You absolutely need to express yourself. But when we're only expressing ourselves, it's not changing anything, okay? But if we take our words and we use our power of choice and action with it and we hold that, that's how we can healthy support our loved ones. Because what we're doing is we're standing up for ourselves, which means we're challenging ourselves, and that's really the massive key of healthy support, is honestly learning how to focus on ourselves and challenge ourselves, because that makes ripple effects to our loved ones, more possibilities. So it really does become, healthy support is actually taking your words, yep, and putting choices and our actions to it. That stops the enabling behavior. And it's also focusing on the things that we can control, because I think a lot of times we want our words to actually push them into action, but the words never will. Because again, there's nothing there that is boundary-like. But if we put actions in our choices and we hold them, that's where boundaries are held, which leads to healthy support, stops enabling, and also focuses on what's inside of our control, which is our choice. Now, Mitchell, what did you... Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and I think communication involves a ton of things. You know, it's not just the words, but then not only is it not just the words, it's not reactive words, it's logical words, right? So a lot of things happen with healthy communication. And that's, you sit with the feeling and feel what you really feel, right? You think about what you really want and need because of that event or situation.
Maurice, can you take a deep breath in and out?
And then you think about that. So logically you think about that. So then you're going to express words that are logical and that you need. So there's the first step of communication. And then there's also body language, which is how are you delivering that? You know what I mean? How are you even talking in a situation about something? What's the body language like? And then there's the action, the follow-up. You know, how am I going to act if this and this and this happens? You know, and then there's like what we do for ourselves when that happens. How do we talk to ourselves when that boundary or whatever isn't held or whatever? So if we're belittling ourselves, really, you know, that's not healthy communication either. Because maybe everything's going well communicating with somebody else, but we're taking it inward on us, and it's hurting our
Please.
self-talk. So I mean, think about like how you receive communication well, and if you do all those things, you're going to communicate well because you're taking time to think about what you need to get across, right? And you're going to have a way more. You're going to set yourself up for more success if you think about all those things first, and you're really building yourself up to know what you want.
Yeah, and I think a good way to really focus on, are we enabling or not? I think a way is every choice that you make, ask if you're doing it for you or if you're doing it for your loved one in addiction. If you find yourself 9 times out of 10 doing actions for your loved one and not for you and not because you want to do them, chances are you're enabling them. And the reason why is because you're doing them because you're trying to control a certain situation or experience or the person itself. So I think that's a massive way. And the reason why I can express that is like, so say if Mitchell used the night before and now he literally is laying in bed and will not wake up to go to work. Me constantly going in trying to wake him up, if I sat in that and said, why am I doing this, Anna? Are you doing it for you or are you doing it for him? I could say I'm doing it for myself because I have so much anxiety right now and I want it to stop. But see, that's my heart. I need to learn how to work through those things. The big thing is that I would say is, well, I'm trying to do it. Why? Because I am absolutely trying to help Mitchell save his job. I'm trying to help Mitchell from not getting consequences. I'm trying to help Mitchell from maybe not further relapsing. That's what my mind says. So because of that, what's happening is I'm actually enabling, and I'm also trying to control a situation. And when we try to control a situation that is not ours to control, a lot of the times we stop natural consequences from actually occurring for our loved one, which is enabling. Our loved one, when they're in addiction, they really do need to find the natural or feel the natural consequences of their actions. And if we are stopping them from feeling those, we are enabling, okay? Another example I actually can, this isn't about Mitchell, it's about my really recognizing my need for control, even in the littlest things in life, guys. And it had to do with my daughter. I recognize now a lot of my need for control is because if I feel I have control over something, even if I really don't, it helps me with my anxiety. And what I need to do is learn how to work through with my anxiety in a healthy way, not in an unhealthy way, which is focusing on something outside of my control. And I'll give you an example of my daughter when she started learning shapes. What happened was when she was younger, she was trying to take a star shape, and I think she was trying to put it into like a circle. I all of a sudden really recognized I kept taking her hand and pushing it over to the circle because I was watching her struggle, try to figure out where do you put the star to get the shape in. And all of a sudden I recognized, why am I doing that? And I realized it was because when I was watching her struggle, it was making me uncomfortable, and it was actually causing me to have anxiety. And there was a part of me that went, shouldn't I just show her where the star goes? Here's the truth, though. If I'm always just pushing her hand to where the star goes, is she really learning, or am I just pushing her hand? And so what happened was I sat there later and recognized I need to sit there with my own uncomfortability and let my daughter figure this out. And I will tell you something amazing happened. I sat in my uncomfortability, and I know with some people it would be like, but Anna, it's just shapes. It causes me to have anxiety. And so for me, when I sat there and finally learned how to sit in my own uncomfortability of watching my daughter struggle just with a shape, all of a sudden my daughter took the star after quite some time and pushed it over to the star. But it was a completely different reaction she had from every single time that I pushed her hand over to the star. Before it was just okay, I did it, pushed it in. But when she did it herself, her face lit up with excitement and this straight over stare at me with this smile on her face, excitement. And I recognized it was because she did it. So what it allowed me to recognize is that a lot of times, even in Mitchell's addiction, I tried to control things that were outside of my control because it caused me to have extreme anxiety. However, it actually took opportunities away from Mitchell to learn. And in the extreme case, why it was so hard is because you have to watch someone you love struggle when definitely in our mind we think we know best to help them avoid the hurt. But the truth is, which is the truth and sad in addiction, is a lot of the times not even a lot of times, I really think every time, we need to sit back, which sucks, and watch our loved ones go through struggle, but also us work through our own struggling, which what has to happen is finding our own support system so we don't sit in our own struggle alone.
And I think you know, what I'm hearing too is like, and which I do a lot is I learn from little situations, and that shape situation was something that's minor
Yep.
that we can learn from. We can say, hey, we control in this situation, right?
Yeah.
And if you start looking for those little things to teach you, then you can start seeing where those things play in a big part of your
Oh
life.
yeah, massively.
You know what I mean? So
yes.
it's way easier to pinpoint little things than to wrap yourself around the complexity of codependency, right?
Yes.
It's easier to say, oh, I control a little bit because I'm not comfortable because you can't put the shape in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a great thing to do, and that starts with being mindful of your day. Like, communicate well with yourself, being mindful of what you do. If you say there's a little quirk I do, and like, oh, I see that's control, or I see that's whatever, maybe however you word it in your head, maybe, oh, I'm manipulating that situation or something like that, and it's some innocent little thing, but look at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Look at it. You kind of figure out a little bit about yourself, and then you can see how it plays out into these big parts. You know, and just for example, like how you were talking about control. I think control in my life is, and we were talking about the other day, is sometimes I'll like plan my day and like in my head, like I don't like sit down and write it down, but I'll plan my day, and then so I'll be doing my system of things, and it's not like to a T, but it's a general flow of my day, and when that flow gets interrupted by something that's not in my control, I get frustrated.
Yeah.
So it's not the anxiety of something not going right that makes me want to control. It's the frustration that I get because it's not going my way, and that comes out, and I have to learn to let go of that control and say, oh, cool, like other things are coming in, other stimulus are coming into my day or my schedule. I can go with that.
Yeah.
Because why am I going to let my day be hijacked by frustration, which turns to anger for me, which turns to resentment and like distance? You know, why am I going to let something that I can't control do that to me? Because I'm trying to control it, right? So in that little situation, I realized that when things don't go my way, I get frustrated and I want to control, so I get angry or mad, resentful, and I have to tell myself just to let that go. It's okay.
Yeah.
And then for me, it was hard to just let that go. So what I had to do is I had to put something in place of it. So if something does that, I try to fill that time I am gifted by doing something else for a moment, or just sitting in it, you know. Or maybe it's like, oh, I didn't take a shower yet, or oh, I didn't go check that thing on the car, or you know, do something outside, or go to the wood shop, and I can do that for 10 or 15 minutes until my day gets back on track. But it's those little things that you really
and I think this is a big thing, guys, is that one of the things I didn't recognize for a really long time is that my intentions were good of trying to help people, but I didn't recognize how much I was trying to control other people's emotions or feelings. And how I mean that is that if Mitchell was having an off day, I wanted to make it an on day. If Mitchell was angry, I wanted to not make him angry. If Mitchell was sad, I wanted to make him happy. Here's the thing about that. I'm focusing on Mitchell and his feelings and emotions, which ultimately, no matter what I do, it's always going to be Mitchell's control of what he chooses to feel next. What I need to really focus on is how I respond to those feelings and emotions and how I feel with those feelings and emotions, how I act. And so in addiction, if Mitchell is frustrated, how can I help Mitchell not be frustrated? If Mitchell's angry, how can I help Mitchell not be angry? But that's actually enabling. The reason why is because I'm focusing again on something outside of my control, and Mitchell actually needs to learn how to work through his feelings and emotions. What I need to do is, why I was doing that, work on mine. Why does Mitchell being angry really upset me? Why do I need to fix it right there? When Mitchell is sad, why do I need to fix it right then and there?
Which is why that's one of my biggest things, is like dealing with my own emotions in the moment.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because everybody in my life always
try to regulate them for you.
Lean in it didn't lean into their uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And let me do that. It's not their fault.
Yeah.
It's no one's fault. None of this is anybody's fault.
Yeah.
We just have to look at ourselves and what we can control in our life. Yeah.
Yep. And so right there, guys, it's like, I really think how we can healthy support our loved one without enabling and without control. It's always, before we do any choice or experience, ask ourselves right then and there, is this inside my control or is it not? Okay? If you are trying to control a people, place, thing, experience, it's not in your control. What's in our control is how we react to a situation, what we choose, how we respond, and how we act, okay? And that is going to be how we communicate with boundaries. And now, I'm sure a lot of you have already heard this. If you have someone in active addiction and they're happy with you, chances are you are enabling, okay? What that means is a lot of the times we're usually co-signing their behaviors, so they're happy with us. Right when all of a sudden we start focusing on ourselves and we go, you know what? This yelling, it's not good. The way they're talking to me, not good. Them continuously missing work and me making excuses for them or getting them out of bed, that's not good either. They probably really should feel the consequences of their own choices. What it is, guys, is this. When we start to go, I'm not going to wake them up, and then all of a sudden they realize we didn't wake them up and they yell at us, or all of a sudden we're not giving them money for their cell phone bill, or we're not giving them connection, or we're not hanging out with them the next day, and we get them yelling or upset with us. Of course it doesn't feel good when someone's doing that. However, the reason why that's occurring is because you're doing something different. You're no longer enabling. You're actually holding healthy boundaries. And I think that's the hardest part for us, is that if we're enabling them, chances are sometimes we feel a little bit of normalcy, which means not the bad, but it's still not great or healthy or real fulfillment or happiness, okay? It's just what we consider, okay, it's the addiction's not really there right now, okay? So what we do is we consider and we keep enabling because that helps us survive. But when we do the healthy and we focus on what's inside of our control and we're not controlling and we actually are not enabling, we get the person we love mad at us. So that always pushes us more back to wanting to enable and wanting to focus on things that are outside of our control.
Go get it, baby girl.
Because it's slipping here. I think that is really massively, sorry guys, my hand. That's massively the reason why, is because doing the right thing makes us feel like we're doing something wrong because we're getting yelled at. Or we're having someone basically throw a temper tantrum in front of us. But the truth is that no, we're actually doing the right thing, the uncomfortable thing, the hard thing. And it's really hard to lean into something like that. And I think that's what makes us go back to, maybe I am doing the wrong thing. Maybe I need to go back to waking them up. Maybe this is how I'm helping. But it's actually quite the opposite, guys, is that, truth be told, if you're getting someone that sometimes is really upset by what we're doing, but what we're doing is actually helping ourselves, maybe we are reaching out to support, we are holding healthy boundaries, we are communicating our feelings in a healthy way, but we have someone more upset with us, don't stop because we have a different reaction. The reason why you have a different reaction is because you're doing something different, and that doesn't mean it's wrong. So I think the biggest thing I want people to know on here is, truth be told, if you are healthy supporting your loved one, and you are challenging your enabling, and you're no longer enabling them, and you are not being controlling, truth be told, usually you get more reactions from your loved one. And the reason why is because you're doing something different. You're doing something healthy. But the addict doesn't work in healthy. So when we start to do things that are healthy for ourselves and truthfully for our true individual, we usually get pushback from the addict. But please know that doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. Chances are that actually means that you are helping your loved one in a healthy way, that you are no longer enabling, and that you are focusing on what's inside your control. And that, again, is why, guys, it's crucial to have a support system so that you can reach out when you start to challenge and change these things. It was key for me to go, Mitchell didn't wake up for work, and I went on along my day, and now he's really mad at me. I feel like I've done something wrong. Maybe I'm going to cause a next relapse. But me voicing that to my support system can go, no, Anna, this isn't your responsibility anyways. Mitchell chose to use the night before. Mitchell chose to sleep in. None of this is your fault. So you not going in and waking him up, that's Mitchell's responsibility. So that helped me healthy support Mitchell, which is allowing Mitchell to feel natural consequences of his actions. And the reason why, again, you know that one of the things that Mitchell and I love doing is separating or learning how to separate the addict from the true individual. And guys, what I'm actually doing is healthy helping Mitchell by allowing the addict to feel the choices of his own choices or his reactions or other different things. That is actually me healthy supporting Mitchell, my husband, by allowing him to feel natural consequences by his choices, his actions, okay? So I really feel, guys, that's how we support our loved one in a healthy way. Learn how to focus on ourselves. Learn how to stand up confidently for ourselves and know that there are certain behaviors that are wrong. It doesn't matter what scenario it is or what experience someone's going through. Focus on how we are going to react, how we are going to choose, how we are going to hold healthy boundaries. Enabling is doing things for others what they can do for themselves. Enabling is not allowing our loved one to feel the natural consequences from their choices, their actions. Enabling is not allowing our loved one to feel their weight of their own responsibility. We can't take on everyone's responsibility in this world. That will kill us. Literally, also, okay? What we need to learn to do is just take our part and leave the rest of the responsibility for theirs. And truth be told, when we actually hold a boundary, I will tell everyone also on here, usually the first time you actually do hold a boundary, I will always remember that is when the addict actually started looking at me and going, "You're being controlling." Truth be told, I don't think I ever heard the addict or Mitchell tell me I was controlling when I actually was being controlling. Why? Because that helped them. That enabled the addict, okay? That made their life better, in a sense, okay? So I never got "you're being controlling" when I actually was being controlling, because being controlling meant stopping the natural consequences being felt. And so it was easier for the addict to live in this world with career, finances, the home, the connection for family, all this. It wasn't until I actually focused on what I can control, held a healthy boundary, did the addict look at me and go, "You know what, you're being really controlling." Then that made me second guess myself. But the truth is, the reason why they say that, guys, is because you're controlling your own actions, which makes it harder for the addict to survive, but therefore helps your loved one have more possibility of a chance of recovery. So I want everyone out there to really hear me when I say that. Chances are, when you actually hold a boundary, you are focusing on what's in your side, your control. That's when you get the addict going. "You're being controlling. You're telling me what to do." No, what I'm actually telling you is that I've come to the realization that I love you, but I no longer want drugs or alcohol in my life. So if you continue to choose using drugs or alcohol, only express that if you are ready to hold this boundary. And at the end, I was. If you continue to choose drugs or alcohol, I will leave. The addict continued to choose drugs and alcohol, and I chose to leave. Okay, and the reason why the addict looked at me and said, "You're controlling," is because I was finally expressing what I was willing or not willing to accept in my life. But what that meant is for him to decide what does he want in his life.
It's logical, and the addict doesn't understand logic.
Yes, and if the addict wanted to choose drug and drink, the reason why he felt controlling is because that meant then I wasn't going to be a part of it. So it made him feel that I was controlling.
Yes. And then I had to decide.
Yes.
And I was incapable of deciding.
Yes.
When I could just keep you on the insanity cycle and you would be there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think, along the lines of that, you get the kickback when you're not enabling, the healthy communication, the working on you, and then also when we touch base on the, also look at why we control.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Why we control, because in the addiction, it's easy to see these big things. So then, when you're taking that little time for yourself, ask yourself those questions, because that's really working on you. Get to the core, slowly get to the core of why you do these certain things. And it's probably not even because of the addict. There's probably some things in your life that happened before even that, or just what our self-talk is. But start asking yourself those kind of questions too. And that's all going to work towards your healthy communication. You're not enabling, you're not controlling. All that's working because it's you. You're working on yourself.
Yep, and I just actually kind of realized this. I mean, everything about addiction is really messed up.
Yeah.
But I really do believe, I think why I'm calling it messed up is because when we are enabling and when we are trying to control a situation, life kind of goes to what our new normal is an addiction, which just means no confrontation for a limited amount of time. That's our survival mode. When we aren't being controlling and we're not being enabling, which means healthy, that's where confrontation comes in. That's when hards come in. And so what happens is we revert back to what is the easier, even if it is still the hard, and we revert back to, well, I don't want this confrontation. I don't want this hard. I don't want this hurt. So we go back to enabling. We go back to trying to control things that are not in our control, because it leads to what we consider normalcy now in addiction, which is lack of confrontation and hurt and pain, which I always consider survival mode. So I think that's what's really hard, guys, is that when we do finally focus on not being controlling and not enabling, it leads to confrontation, it leads to hurt, it does lead to pain, which makes us always want to go back into the enabling. But we have to choose our hard. You're already doing your hard, you've been doing hards for years. Choose the hards that's going to lead to new possibilities for you. We can't control what our loved one's going to do. I can't promise anyone on here, no matter what you do, if your loved one's going to get recovery or not. I wish I could, but I can't promise that. The only thing that I can promise you is if you change, if you challenge yourself, different will come for you. But I think that is the hard, guys, is because when we finally really choose focusing on inside of our control and not being enabling, it faces the hard that we've always wanted to avoid sometimes for years. And that's our choice of what we're going to choose with the situation we have in our life. What are we going to do? Are we going to choose to stay? Are we going to choose to detach with love? Are we going to choose to hold boundaries? Are we going to choose to possibly say goodbye? Are we going to choose to not have someone in our lives for some time? Because sometimes it's not about a relationship like a spouse. It's about a child or a mother or a father. What are we going to choose? And I think that's our harder, is learning how to let go. And we don't want to do that. We kind of revolt against that as much as we possibly can, because it comes down to our choice and our action and how we respond. So what we do is we kind of keep going back to the enabling and focusing on things outside of our control, because at least that stops us from facing our biggest hard, which is going to be probably feeling shame, feeling guilt, regret, mourning, grieving, the loss of something, and more. And I think that's what it is, guys, actually talking about this and really focusing on it. So truth be told, guys, how you can healthy support your loved one without being enabling and without being controlling is focusing on you and what's inside of your control, which is your choice, how you respond to their choices, and continuously choosing your hard, and make sure you have a support system doing that, because just how we always tell everybody in addiction, you can't do alone, neither can we as family members, and you shouldn't, okay? So always reach out. If you're feeling alone right now, then you need to reach out to a support system, because I think recognizing that we're not alone is half the battle of doing our hards and facing that shame, that guilt, that regret, that loss, the mourning, the grieving, whatever it may be. I think it helps us work through it. I'm going to go up here real quick and see if there were any questions, guys. I do see something, so hold on one second. Let's see. Good morning. Good afternoon, guys. Boundaries are the greatest gifts. I have learned, yes, empty promises to ourselves, actions speak louder than words. They definitely do, and the same goes with our loved ones when they're in recovery. What's going to help family members gain trust with someone in early recovery is no longer just speaking words, but watching their words match up with their actions and have follow through. That's how trust is gained. Let's see. I thought there was one more. Let's see. Skylar's watching. I feel like I'm enabling Emma because she's always going on vacations and I'm working. I don't know, Skylar, are you? No, you guys enjoy your time. Let's see. Skylar did call you out too and said, Mitch never called me back. Love you all. Happy Monday. So,
True.
you're being challenged.
True.
Let's see. Absolutely agree. Having an addict in your life is hard. We had to learn that boundaries are in the most effective way to help an addict. I completely agree. And yourself. It's hard, but works. Just remember, if the addict in your life is an adult, their actions are not your responsibility. Absolutely 100% agree with you. And I love that you expressed it's not even key just for our loved one in addiction. It is key for us and our growth, our healing, and challenging ourselves. Good morning. Let's see. My healthy boundary, my son, isn't in active recovery. I will meet him once a week for dinner and coffee and learn to love from a distance. Thank God he's listening and working on recovery. And that's also you doing your hard, Donna, because I know one of the scary things is what happens if he is in active addiction and you're not going to meet him for a couple weeks. It's that fear of loss. But the truth is that fear that we have, which is very valid, and very natural, but if we give into that fear, then we never hold those boundaries, which really help ourselves and they help other people, especially someone in recovery or trying to get into recovery.
And I think it's really important to continue the boundaries that work just forever, because you know we tend to see a little bit of progress on either side and then we go back to the way it was. But like if something's working, like keep doing it. Even healthy, like if I have a certain behavior, like I shouldn't be meeting with people or going out to eat lunch or doing these things.
Yeah.
You know?
I think too, I really like, Donna, that you wrote that too, and I know some family members don't like to hear this, and I understand why, okay? I mean, I didn't like to hear it in my early recovery. But Donna wrote, make no illusion, we become as sick as the addict. And the truth is, I really do believe that. I think that's also why there's the term coined codependency, is reason being is, you know, at first everything was focused on just the addict and they realized the addict had very similar behaviors. But what happened was is they realized, hey, the family members are displaying a lot of the same behaviors and unhealthy behaviors that are making them sick and hurting. And what that became is the coined term we now hear is codependency, and that's why you always hear me say and start a video as I'm recovering myself from codependency, because that's my sickness, that's my unhealthy behaviors that I displayed when I was going through a hard situation. And the reason why is those codependency traits made me go into survival mode rather than actually enjoy life and live life. And we all deserve to live life, not just be in survival mode. Okay, guys? Needed to hear that, Mitch, as I really always, but everyone needs before myself. So leaning into the uncomfortable. Absolutely, we need to lean into the uncomfortable. We have to lean into our uncomfortable. Let's see. I surely agree. The more you do for someone like that, the longer it will take them to realize it's their responsibility. Linda, absolutely. And that's key there. And I think the reason why, you know, someone did ask, what is one thing that you would do different? Now with the power of hindsight, I actually do believe, it's one of those hard things because I like where we're at. However, I want to express that if I did recognize earlier that, Linda, exactly what you said, and that was the truth, is that before I was so enabling, very codependent, that I honestly do believe that it didn't allow Mitchell to feel his responsibility and the weight of his actions. And it makes me wonder sometimes that if I did it sooner, would it have stopped sooner? But then it also, when I say that though, I'm like, it makes me go, am I putting the responsibility on myself? And I don't want to do that either. I just do recognize that when I focused on myself, it gave more of the possibility. So I guess it's more just expressing the possibility that can occur. If we take a step back like I'm doing now, how do we cope with the guilt when you have been the only support? I have my husband miles away begging me to have him back. Then my friend from school sees us at the weekend, and I'm frozen with fear about what could happen if I'm not there for him. I think it has to do with the guilt that you may be feeling is feeling like you're responsible for where he is right now. It's not your responsibility. It's whatever he's chose up to this point that caused that boundary to happen. All his choices are not yours. And so I think what it is recognizing that the reason why we feel some guilt sometimes is we believe that we're responsible for what they're feeling right now. But the truth is you're not responsible for what he's feeling right now. It was his choices that led to what you had to do to protect your environment, and you did nothing wrong. So I would really say give him back the responsibility. No matter what he's feeling right now, he needs to learn how to work through it. And what he can do is reach out to a support system, because there are so many support systems out there for honestly everybody. It's just if we want to utilize them or not. It was so hard for me to finally tell him that he had two choices: admit he had a problem and go to rehab, or find somewhere else to live, because I knew I had to back it up if he chose to leave. Thank God he finally realized it and went to rehab. It was gut-wrenching. I'm right there with you, because that was one of the hardest things that I had to do in my life as well. So I feel you, Rachel, but I know that also that we needed to do those things. It was right for us in our journey. And it helped us learn how to live life again rather than survive, because we stood up for what we recognized we deserved in life and what we needed. So guys, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do what we usually do. We are going to end with breathing in and out. First breath, what we're going to do is, honestly, guys, like what we said, if we want to healthy support our loved one, not be controlling and not be enabling, what we need to learn to do, honestly, the first step is to focus on ourselves and not focus on them. And like Mitchell said earlier, is sometimes we look at the bigger things first, but what we need to do is look at the smaller things. The reason why the smaller things help us work up to the bigger things, and in the long run, the smaller things carry just as much weight as the bigger things. They really do. So what I want you to do right now with Mitchell and I is take a deep breath in and out, and scan ourselves. What do we feel today? And whether we label our feelings, our thoughts, our emotions as positive or negative, we need to learn to accept ourselves in that moment and recognize that it's okay. Because one of the things we do is, if we feel angry or sad or hurt, usually the emotions we label as negative, we reject ourselves and we want to fix ourselves right in the moment. What we need to learn to do is that those emotions and those feelings are a part of us, and it's okay. So the first step is we need to learn to accept ourselves in those moments. So ready, guys? Maurice, would you like to do it with us? Would you like to take a deep breath in and out? Okay, ready? Here we go. Take a deep breath, Maurice, in and out. Oh, you meditating. What do you feel right now, Maria Reese? You feel what? Not really sure what the rain. She feels the rain. Okay, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to take another deep breath in and out, and what we're going to feel is that gold healing energy going inside our body, and when we exhale, we're going to release anything that is weighing on us, that we feel as stress, that's hurting us, okay? So take that deep breath in and out. And last breath, hand over our heart. And right now we have 20 people on here, so like I told you, this is my favorite part of the breath work that we do. Okay? Maurice, can you hold your hand over your heart? And we're going to take a deep breath in and out. And what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to recognize that in this moment of time, no matter where we are on this planet, we are all going to be connected with the breath. Okay? We're all connected in this moment. So ready? Hand over the heart. Deep breath in and out. Yeah, that feels cool, doesn't it, Maria Reese? What is Daddy's heart doing? And like I said, guys, that's my favorite, because for me, I really do take in that we really are connected in that moment, no matter what's occurring in our lives. We're doing that. So ready, Maria Reese, do you want to show them nature?
Nature.
Okay, can you say namaste to them?
Namaste.
Here, go ahead. Say namaste.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. We're not gonna bow and go namaste. Okay. All right, ready? Let's turn this around. Ready? Mommy needs to get up.
Yeah, let mommy.
Can mommy get up, please?
Yeah, go to the edge with mommy.
Take a deep breath in and out, Miss Maria
Go
Reese.
stand over there by the
Stand
edge.
out with me. I have her holding onto my legs.
Maria Reese.
Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to turn this around. Listen to nature. I love you guys. I actually did ask my parents the other day, and we are thinking about maybe having something in October at our house or at a camping place by our house. So really start thinking if anybody would be interested in coming to Lakeville, Massachusetts for a weekend and would like to go camping. Really think about it. I think it's a good way that we could all connect and kind of, in a sense, do an inner child workshop almost. So, all right, guys, I'm going to turn this around. Love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Sometimes you need to learn how to find your peace without peace. You're very welcome, guys. Thank you for spending this time with Mitchell and I.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Remember, you're worth it, and take some time for you today. Self-care, okay? It's not selfish. It's self-full. Love you guys.